coming through Black Saturday, I learnt a lot about the importance of prevention, and that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I talk a lot about. And when the funding came available to our community through the Bushfire Recovery Committee, Bushfire Recovery Fund, that $400 million fund, we were able to go, let's apply for this, let's apply for that, let's apply for this. And we've got some great assets now in our community that aren't just physical assets, but things that bring the community together. In times of disaster or when the community needs to pull together, that's when you harvest those apples of the work you've done before. Every little community or hamlet's got a CFA that looks after it. And the CFA doesn't forget this stuff, because as brigade members, they were out there on Black Saturday and every other severe, extreme or code red day afterwards. So the CFA has got a really important role in keeping the learnings from Black Saturday alive, I believe. In communities like this where there's a number of lifestylers and traditional dairy farmers as well, there's a bit of a churn. So every 5 years there'll be new people that are coming in. There might be 50% churn every 5 years. So that's another important role of the CFA, is there's quite a number of small landholders here that haven't been through Black Saturday, the baptism of fire. So we've got to remember that in the CFA, that you can't just expect people to be aware of the potential damage of bushfire. So there can be complacency because they've come from Melbourne and they've moved into these areas and they've got no idea what a bushfire can do. So we need to be aware when we're knocking on doors that quite a lot of people have just moved into the area and have got no idea about what a fire can do. So that's part of my role in community engagement, is explaining. Actually, the fire went there, 20 metres away from your garden, and what would you do if that happened? So we developed these scenarios in the door knocking. I think it changed me in a way too, that I look back on it now and I worked really, 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 really hard. Because as mayor, you carry quite a lot of the mental and spiritual load of people in grief as well. So it's almost like every day I was seeing people that were going through trauma and grief. I just think people forget that our leaders are humans as well. And sometimes, just I every now and then I'd get a lovely card or a bunch of flowers or just a gift from some people. But if you've got community leaders that can step up and say what needs to happen, listen, and then talk about what is happening and prepare people for what they need to know. And I do think stress and trauma can play a role in exacerbating chronic illnesses. I did know a lot of people in this area that got diagnosed with cancer following Black Saturday as well. Physically, at the end of that year, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of blood cancer. So I finished my term as mayor, but then I stepped back and the next mayor took over stuff. But that was a year on, and I've still been very active in my community, but I needed to take some time off to look after my health after that. And I remember looking at myself, and I had been mayor working, 14, 15-hour days, 80-hour weeks. I had not had a break, had not seen green. It had just been black the whole time because the whole landscape was black. And I remember thinking, gosh, I need a holiday. And I went home, and the next day I booked 4 days up at the Snow. And I remember, and we drove up there the week later, and I remember seeing white for the first time, and getting out of the black landscape, and just tears were coming down my face because it was, I was out of the black zone. Those sort of things that we have been able to not only survive but thrive as a community and just go from strength to strength in what we've been able to do on the ground, but also that we can care and we still look out for each other.